Can anyone see me? My screen is blank. I'll have to talk to a blank screen then. How did I end up in Cyprus? Do you know, I can sit and talk about the blind cats without any problem at all. But talking about me, isn't so easy. So bear with me. I led a normal life. I called it a 9 to 5 life. I did everything really that most people do. Got engaged, got married, got a mortgage, got divorced. Not most people. It happened to me. Happens to many. And when I got divorced, I just wanted to do something different. How old was I when I got divorced? 36, 37. It took a while to get my head round it. It wasn't so much the divorce. The marriage was going down the tubes anyway. But to all of a sudden be on your own after sort of 17 years. Anyway, I walked into a travel agent's one day and I said, "Get me out of here." I said, "I don't really care where I end up." And anyway, we did some fishing around and I ended up in Southeast Asia. Hi, Barbara. And it was one of those life changes. But it didn't go down well with my family. They thought I should stay put and knuckle down, make a go of things again. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they failed, and I got on a plane and I went to Southeast Asia, backpacking, all through Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. I ended up in Singapore. Anyway, brilliant. You can see me. So people can see me. I just can't see. I'll just carry on talking. And on the way back in Singapore, I picked up a travel magazine and flicked through. And at the back, there were the ads section. And it just said, they were looking for people to work on wildlife conservation projects around the globe. And Africa was one of them. And I can't remember it exactly, but it was something like, if you have a sense of humor and you're prepared to work, we can put you in different places. And when I saw Africa, something clicked. Who remembers the film Born Free? It was, now I must have seen that in the 70s. I was young. And when I saw it, something clicked inside of me. I wanted to go to Africa. And whether it was the cats, whether I can't remember if it was the cats. I can't remember what it was, but I was just hooked on Africa. So in December of 2003, I ended up in Swaziland, which is a tiny little country, pretty much surrounded by South Africa and a bit of Mozambique. And another life changer. I got there and I fell in love with the country, the place, the project, the people. And it was just like Swaziland then, and the people I was with was just like Born Free. They wore the sort of the khakis and the shorts and the bush hats and the socks and the ankle boots, and they were just really nice people. My dwelling was a tent, a camp by a dried up riverbed. There were no fences around our camp, and the animals could wander in and out as they did. And our tent, our area, our living area, was about 30 meters away from the bush toilet. So, and there were no lights there. All you had was your torch or a head torch. So you got to make that dash from your tent up to that toilet in pitch black, knowing that you've got any number of animals wandering around. Not that they would, if some of the rhino would, or the rhino would tend to stay away, but they could come into camp, and they did. So it was an amazing time. And what happens usually is people do these projects and it's a one-off. With me, it wasn't. And this is where I wanted to be. This is what I wanted to do. And I had some money, some savings left over from the sale, my part of the sale of the house. And I could afford to be away for a little while. I didn't realize it was going to take me, for the next 2 years, I was mostly in Swaziland. And I always remember, I met, when I was traveling, I think it was in Asia, I was talking to a guy, an older guy, and his parting comment to me was, you have to be careful. The longer you stay away, the harder it is for you to come home. He said, I can never go home. He said, because I don't know how to live at home anymore. And I said, no, I've got all this self-doubt. As soon as I'm ready to stop traveling, I'll go home and I'll pick up my life again. It didn't work out that way. And when I did eventually get home, the person that went to Africa wasn't the person that came home. I was different. And I'd been in an environment where my place of work was thousands and thousands of acres of scrubland, open spaces, the big five. Well, not the big five because we didn't have the cats there, but elephants, buffalo, rhino, hyenas, giraffe, you name it, they were all there. And we would see them going to work of a morning. I mean, the project was conservation, so primarily it was rhino conservation. So we would check the fences, check the animals, make sure that they were all there. There were black and white rhino there. And with black rhino being as rare as they are, one of the endangered species, you know, if one hadn't been seen for, say, 24 hours, everybody down tools, and especially the anti-poaching unit, they would be brought in from their relative areas, and we would search with them until this animal was found. They are bad-tempered animals. Black rhino. I mean, to get close to one of those, as we did one morning, there were two of them that were missing. And the ranger we were with, or the rangers, they found both of them. And they got us in close. I mean, black rhino, they are lone, solitary animals. They're not social, not like white rhino. And they go into bush that sometimes you can't see a hand in front of you. And they one of them tracked it into this bush. And it was a clearing. We were only meters away from this animal, and all of a sudden this thing, the wind changed, we made a noise, I can't remember what happened. And they can hit a charge at a flick of a switch. And there was only one way out for this black rhino, that was through us. And this animal charged. And when you've got like 900 to 1,000 kilos of bad-tempered animal that wants to get away, we all had backpacks with, we used to have about 5 litres of water with us, and poncho, camera, first aid, binoculars. It was all in there, and it's heavy. Those heavy packs suddenly became featherweight, and the thorn bushes and trees that we were trying to navigate on the way in, they didn't care. I mean, there was bodies just going, they scattered because this thing was behind you and snorting and grunting and trying to get away. Your nerves were shredded. And when it was over in seconds. I mean, this thing just barreled through us, and you laughed afterwards. And then we had to go and do it again with another black rhino, and a similar thing happened all over again. So this was of a morning. So the time we sort of stopped for lunch, hands were shaking and voices were shaking, and it was, what an experience. But when you come home, and if you do it to live in that environment for long enough, there's the term going native. I went native. So when it was my time to come home, I had issues. There's one that sticks out. It was, I got home on a Saturday morning at Heathrow, and all of a sudden I walked outside. My brother-in-law picked me up, and I felt scared. It was good to see him, but I felt alone and I felt scared because this was what I wasn't used to it, to all these cars, to all these strange faces around me. And didn't take too much notice of it then. But that Saturday night, we went to the pub, and I got into the pub and I started to panic because I had to be by an exit. There had to be a way out. And I didn't know what was going on. You know, I was happy to be back, and I was happy to see all the boys again in the pub and chat. But I just didn't know what was going on with me. Why did I have to have this door? Or why did I have to be near the exit door? That one always sticks out. And then things came to a head one morning. I was staying with my sister, and I can't remember what happened, what was said, and something just flipped, and I ended up. I had a mug of tea, and I ended up aiming that mug of tea at her head, and that was. My mum and dad they'd moved to Cyprus, and my dad came up to see me, and he just said, "Don't know what's going on." Harry's not happy about Kira. He said, "I don't know what's going on with you." He said, "But, why not come out to Cyprus?" He said, "It's not Africa, but," he said, "it's not the UK either." And I did, and I hated it. I absolutely hated Cyprus. And I don't know for why, really, because it was full of expats, and it wasn't the UK, it was more relaxed. But I just didn't like the place. And then I had the accident, and I lent in to get I took one of the cats to the vet, and as I say, I lent in to get the cat box, did something to my back, ended up in Istanbul for an operation, spent another 6 months learning how to walk again, came out, and that would have been 2007. And then in 2008, I met a lady here in a bar that I used to use, and we got talking, and she had an accent, and it tops up, she was born in Rhodesia, and her mum and dad had gone out there after the Second World War, and they'd settled there, had the family there, and her mum and dad had to leave after independence, and they ended up in Cyprus. And anyway, we got talking, and we hit it off immediately. Both had a love of Africa, both had a love of animals, and then we eventually got engaged. And that's pretty much how I ended up in Cyprus. I learned to love Cyprus. It was completely different back then to what it is now. It was relaxed. It was safe. Everyone seemed happy. People, you would see all the businesses, the local businesses would leave their merchandise outside of a night because no one ever stole it, because there was hardly any crime here. And it's all gone now. That's all gone. All the businesses bring their stuff in of a night. They have shutters up, steel fences, security cameras. There is so much crime here now. It's still safe to a point. I don't know about in the towns and the cities, but the villages are still relatively safe. But it's not as safe as it once was. And all the people have gone. Mostly the Brits have all gone now. Some left, but not many. I mean, I could walk down the road. I could never walk down the road without someone bibbing me up. Do you want a lift? Do you need to go anywhere? You walked into the supermarket, it's like home from home. It was packed with faces that you knew. If you went out for a beer or whatever, always someone that you knew. Now, I don't know anyone, really. So, sad. So here we are. So that's how I came to end up in Cyprus. Interesting, possibly. Sad, possibly. It's not the way I thought life would be. I thought it would be get married, have family, uh, work till I was time to retire. In a way, it's not. I wouldn't recommend it. And I lost my fiance. She died 6 years ago suddenly. So she's gone now. Her mum, she died in 2014. So that magic has gone. And I miss her. It's been 6 years. And it feels like yesterday that I got the phone call. So, but she was a beacon of light in the dark, really, for the waifs and strays. And it was uncanny, as we would lose one, it wouldn't be long before another cat would turn up out of nowhere. And this would be welcome into to the family. So when she died, there were a lot of animals. She had about 17 in the end, dogs and cats. And although we were, the house I rented was near hers, I hadn't moved in with her yet. And anyway, I took her animals. They all came to live with me. And out of all of them, there's only one left, Tubbs, who's just gone out. So Tubbsy is 16 now. So that's me. So for the first 39 years, 40 years, it was just an average life. The last 20 have been somewhat different. Morning, Winston. And so here I am now with the animals. I have a theory on why it's nice to have this channel, actually. When Facebook sort of first came into existence, and I used to watch people or read people that live their life through social media, and I hated it. It was like, some people, it's 6 a.m, the alarm's gone off, I'm getting up, brushing my teeth, rushing around, getting ready to go to work, having breakfast, on my way now to get a train. And I'm thinking, get a life. But really, it's just another way of connecting with the world. And now I'm in that position. I'm not quite in that position, but I'm sharing my life with you, with the cats. And it's actually nice to have someone to talk to. It's not a physical conversation, but I'm talking and you're listening and you're talking and saying things, and I can relate to that. And it's, I was starting to feel disconnected, because sometimes it can be weeks before I might not see another English person for weeks at a time. there aren't many up here. I have an English neighbour at the back of me. Her husband just died. So I see her maybe of a morning, maybe. She has a dog now, so she's out walking. And there are another couple of English couples sort of over that way. But we rarely see each other. And I was in the supermarket last week and someone called my name. And a friend that I haven't seen for a long, long time. And it was like, oh, well, how are you? Blah, blah. We was chatting. And it was really nice to chat again. But it doesn't happen very often now. So, yeah, the channel does help keeping me connected. You know, my story is there are so many out there that have sad stories. But just another story. There are, oh, well, you were unlucky then, weren't you, with your retirement plans, Eunice? So are you retired now, Eunice? It's not so much when you're in a foreign country and you haven't got your own people around you, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. I have a problem here. The house I'm in, I rent, and now the owners want it back. And they won't give me a new contract, a yearly contract. And without my contract, in 2 months' time, I have to go. Every year, I have to go to the police station, and with a contract, paperwork, bank statements, etc. And they give us another year's residency here. But this year, I'm not going to be able to. At the moment, I can't present any paperwork. So, on the 9th of June, I will be given my marching orders from Cyprus. And at the moment, I don't know. Well, I really don't know. My world is upside down. Because I won't leave the cats behind. And to try and get them, I can get them out the country, but we've got nowhere to go to. And although I can afford to live in Cyprus, I'm going to struggle in the UK or in most places. So yeah, I've looked into Portugal. The problem is I can only take 5 animals with me. I need other names. So if I go back to the UK, my mum and my sister are there, my brother-in-law, that's 3 names. With my name, I could take up to 20 cats. But to transport them to the UK is going to cost a lot of money. And then I've got to find somewhere to live in the UK. I can't rent easily with cats. Maybe 1 cat, certainly not lots of cats. But I won't leave them behind either. So, and the world has moved on so much. I mean, we laugh here. We used to call it the Twilight Zone in Cyprus. But now there's the possibility that I've got to leave the Twilight Zone and move back into the real world. I mean, I didn't even know that you didn't use cash on buses and trains. And people laughed. My sister said, Christ. She said, no. She said, we stopped using money on public transport years ago. Now it's all electronic. And it's getting your head around something simple like that. And also that it's not safe. The UK isn't a safe place. And then I'm going to turn up with 5 very special cats. I don't know. The next couple of months are going to be difficult. And I'm still trying to get the channel up and running. I've got a theory. This is just my theory, so I might be totally wrong. That I may well have come up with a subject that is too unique. I'm in the Turkish side in Cyprus. That's the problem. Because of the war in Ukraine, Russians have fled in large numbers, and they've gone to many places, and they went to Cyprus, South Cyprus. And because the EU has placed sanctions on Russia and Russians, the South Cyprus is now cleaning up, and many Russians have fled from the south. And because Turkey won't impose sanctions on Russia, they are flooding across the border with lots of money and buying up everything over here and renting whatever they can get. You can't blame them. And it's causing problems over here now. There's nothing to rent anymore for, say, a normal price. And the prices of property now have just gone, it's crazy money. Crazy, crazy money. So, and also, if I can get the cats out, I will do. But we just got to find somewhere that's quiet. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot to do. Yeah, it's crazy, Eunice. There probably is more space over in the south, but the south is EU and the south is very expensive. In fact, it's probably more expensive in the south than it is over here. The world is upside down at the moment, and I don't think it matters what country you go to. The whole world seems to be on the move. There seems to be problems everywhere. So we shall see. Watch this space. But going back to my channel, I don't think the world is a safe place anymore. When I first went to Swaziland in 2003, and initially I landed in South Africa at Johannesburg Airport. And although I didn't really go outside, you could feel the tension. But when I got to Swaziland, it was no tension. It just felt relaxed. It felt easy. And but that was in 2003. The last time I was there was in 2008, and it had changed. That tension from South Africa was in Swaziland. And people had changed. Italy. Listen, I've looked at Italy, I've looked at Portugal, and these places are fine. I know there are cheap, there are affordable houses if you're prepared to do some work to them. And if it was just me, I would take a chance. I would even like to go to Slovenia, but Slovenia now is changing its rules in that you have to have a working knowledge of the language in 3 months, and you have to have a far better grasping of the language in 6 months. Plus, you have to sit an exam. It's some countries are tightening up their borders, and you can't blame them. I suppose when you look at what's happening now in the UK and places in Europe, it's almost become like you have to wonder if there's going to be like a worldwide civil war on the horizon. I saw the video of the police officers that were attacked in New York by those immigrants, and that was an eye opener because you never hear of US police officers being attacked like that. Never seen it before. Maybe it does happen. I just don't. I haven't got a television, so I don't watch TV. But yeah, and that's right. They let them out without a bond. But to attack a US police officer, Uh, but then I see it in the UK now. I mean, I was born in London, East London, and I think whites now in London are an ethnic minority. Hey, so the whole world is unhappy. So I may have to move into an unhappy world with a posse full of cats, and some of them can't see, and they're not going to understand. So their free and easy life hey, Crimson Raider, uh, is going to be difficult. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh yes, yes, we're getting all the passports are being sorted out. Their passports aren't a problem. Travelling won't be a problem. Where do we travel to is the problem. And what do we do when we get there? I'm 60 now. Age police are against me. I mean, age police were against me. I went for an interview when I was 35, and I was being told then it's a young office, it's a young environment. I said, but I'm only 35. And, age is, we have a lot of experience, older people. The cats I've got are blind, you know that, and the travel has got to be as stress free as possible. Chances are we're going to be separated for a while, and I have never been away from these cats, apart from maybe an overnight stay in the vets. They know me. I'm always there. The relationship I have with the cats is, and as most people I think will have with their cats, they don't have to worry. I'm always here. And maybe that's why it works so well with the blind cats, because they know I'm always here. Harry knows that if he goes walkies, I will come and find him, like I will find all the cats. And I mean, he's sitting with me now. You might be able to see him. He's getting relaxed. Eunice, it's been suggested before, but I don't know people in. No, that's wrong. I have family in Portugal. I haven't spoken to them for 40, some of them 40 years. We're strangers now. And would they help? I don't know. Barbara, I'm not. There are two things I never get involved in: politics and religion. It's I, cats aren't deaf. They are. The cats will be happy, but your environment has to be settled. And at the moment, they're settled. They're relaxed. You know, of a morning, cars go to work. So we don't go outside until the cars have gone to work. And of an evening, cars come home. Again, we don't usually go out of an evening. Although I did take them out tonight for the first time. And during the day, you'll get the odd car and the odd person walking around. And that's it. It's that quiet up here. And the people that do walk, they know me. I don't always know them, but they know me. And it's relaxed up here. Thank you, Barbara. I still feel young. You may have noticed that when I'm clambering over those rocks. I think young. I think you have to have a positive mental outlook, because it's too easy to, if you think old, you are old, or you can be old. I don't hold with that. I mean, age, what is it? It's just a number. So yes, although it is risky when I go over on those rocks, do you know when you actually get to the top and then you look out on what you've done, climbing up there, taking videos, it's actually quite invigorating. Sin Divine. I don't know Sin Divine. Project Portugal. There's one other thing. I have had two, in 2004. Yeah, YouTube channels. I don't get a lot of time for YouTube channels, Eunice, because I'm tied up with this one. But I will look into it. I will look into it. Yeah, back in 2004, when I was flying into Cape Town, I landed with a DVT. I didn't realise it at the time. And because it didn't hurt, that was sort of on the Saturday morning. And on the Monday morning, I slipped. I was photographing great white sharks. I was in a cage. And as I was coming out the cage, I slipped. And I thought I'd pulled a muscle in my leg. And by the Friday, my leg was really big. And I was in a lot of pain. And I called into a doctor. And they did. I literally had hours left to live. This deep vein thrombosis had travelled up my leg and it was making its way into my heart. And they wouldn't let me out of the hospital. I had to, actually they did, they let me out for about 30 minutes and I had to go back to where I was staying, grab my gear, and I was in hospital for a week. And then when I was released from hospital, I had to stay in Cape Town for a month, stabilising on warfarin until I was ready to travel. But by that time, I was due to pick up, I was joining an overland expedition in Cape Town. And then we were going to go to, well, we was going to travel all the way through Africa. And I missed the connection. Couldn't go to Namibia, couldn't go to Botswana. I missed it all. And I tried to catch up with the group in Kenya. And then from Kenya, I gave up trying, and I went into Uganda on my own. Because I bought a pass to go and see the mountain gorillas in a place called Bwindi. It's up on the Congo border, and amazing place. I mean, Bwindi translated means the impenetrable forest, and it was like virgin rainforest. And the group I was with, the people I was with, they were going to go and watch. It was a study group of Western lowland mountain gorillas, and we found them in the afternoon. Took us all day to get there, and they were in a ravine, and there was a silverback, 2 blackback females. There were babies there as well, and I remember we got too close, or the babies got too close to us, and this silverback charged. And these things, they are huge, these silverbacks, and they moved so quickly. But the trackers that we were with, that were with us, they diffused the situation. They just stepped in and they diffused the whole situation. And the silverback sat down, but he was watching the whole time. And but by the time we'd found this group of, and I don't know I can't remember what you call a group of gorillas, but by the time we'd found these gorillas, we were so close to the Congo border. And there was a group there called the Hutu militia, and they were still active. And the guards with us, I mean, they carried AK-47s, but there was only 2 of them. And they were getting nervous. So it was, we had to then march out of there and get back to where we were, our pickup point. But talk about surreal experiences. I mean, there we were, a group of people, half a dozen people, in the middle of a rainforest, too close to the Congo border. African militia groups are still operating, and they would love tourists, or get their hands on tourists. So we're now hours from where we should be. And we're marching through this, we were making our way through this rainforest. Americans think of jungle. And there were a couple of people there from the World Bank. And they said, hold on, we said, we'll make a phone call. And they did. They made a phone call in the middle of a rainforest in Africa. And he said, we've got transport coming. Started laughing. And out of nowhere, this brand spanking new Mitsubishi Shogun Jeep appeared. He said, taxi's here. I said, where did that come from? And they fund it. The World Bank funds projects all over Africa. And one of these projects involved the headman getting a new vehicle. So they just made a phone call, and the headman sent a driver out, and he picked us up in this Shogun, and we trundled out the forest in luxury. It just made me laugh. I thought, oh yeah, only in Africa. So there you go. They are hundreds of pounds of pure muscle and highly intelligent, very protective, and dangerous as well. And the sad part about all that, I took all these photos of that afternoon. Well, it was that day in the jungle, in the rainforest. I mean, you can't just walk. It's not flat. You're up and down. You're hacking your way through undergrowth. You might be going down a slope. It's slippery. You slip. You go tumbling down there. There's nothing you can do to stop yourself. You take out people on the way down. And it's, I mean, by the time we got back, we was covered in mud and sweat and everything else. But yeah, I took all these photos, and I got it transferred to a disc at the time. And when I went to I went from Uganda, I flew back down to Swaziland. I didn't go back to the UK. And I got involved in a whitewater rafting competition. Anyway, the disc I went and used for the whitewater rafting competition, for the photos for that, got transferred onto the gorilla disc, and I lost all my gorilla photos. So that was sad. Fantastic experience. I was telling you something else. My channel. I have a theory why it doesn't do well. And I don't think the world is ready. Oh, it's horrible. It's your memories. Losing your photos or losing your memories. And that is one of those worst feelings ever, to find out your memories have all gone. Right. My channel. I think I've hit a subject that is so unique that the majority of people don't know how to deal with it. I mean, all of you here now, the subscribers, as I've said to you before, I don't ask for subscribers. I prefer people to find the channel. If they like it, they come on board because they are here for the cats. And I will start asking. It's difficult though when you're not used to asking. And anyway, I'll start asking. But I don't think the world is ready for cats that can see, blind cats that will live like regular cats. You know, I check out other channels, and there's a couple in America that have 4 blind cats, and they keep them in the house, and you know, they do cat things in the house, and they've got millions of views. And yet my 5, they don't do what blind cats do. They do what cats do. They live their life as cats. And very few watch the channel. And there's a lady on here, she's blind. And she tells me of the struggle that she has, although she's blind, she wants to live her best life, and she wants to do as much as possible, as though she won't accept her blindness. She wants to push the boundaries. But there is negativity from those that are around her. And I thought at the time, is it negativity from people, or people just it scares people that you have a disabled person, a blind person. I mean, she has gone skiing. She can ski, and she can walk to the shop. She can go out climbing. She will push the boundary. But she gets sometimes confrontation from people. And I haven't had confrontation. I've had the odd one that in general people have been supportive, but there aren't that many people that watch. And I wonder if it's because people don't know how to take or the thought of having a blind cat climbing a tree, going rock climbing. Does he actually scare them? They're not, the world isn't ready for this. And, I tried to go to the newspapers. The LA Times has a section on animal stories because the world loves an animal story. And I contacted one of the reporters there, and I told them I did a special a short trailer showing the blind cats. Never heard another word back. I tried the UK papers, never heard another word back. So maybe this is just as far as I can take it, that you now know that see, this is the thing. You're right. I can take them out. They can go on the mountain, and they don't live like most cats. Maybe I've hit on a topic that is so unique that people don't know how to take it. Maybe they don't want to take it. I have thought that I've thought about, do I just stop and enjoy what I have for as long as I have it? Because there isn't much more I can tell you about blind cats. And when you've got a cat like Harry, who is, I suppose, like the blind lady that listens to the channel, that won't accept, doesn't want to accept. She wants to live her life as much as possible as a regular person, like Harry wants to live like a cat. He's demanding. And although he's a lot better than what he was months ago, you still cannot relax and let your guard down with him. And the problem is with Harry, you give Harry an inch and he's likely to take the rest of the day. Because Harry wants to do what Harry wants to do. It's like tonight. I mean, I never ever go out of an evening. I don't usually have the time anyway, but I got finished with the village cats. It was still light. The camera was charged. So I shot back up to the house, grabbed Harry, went over to the field. The only other cat that was around was Jasper. And did Harry want to play ball? No. Did Harry listen? No, of course not. Harry did what Harry wanted to do. And he was walking off in this direction. He was going in that direction. And in the end, it was getting dark. So I grabbed him and we walked back. He wasn't happy. He didn't want to go back. So we had 5 minutes in the front garden with the other cats. And he seemed to, he accepted that. But no, he can be hard work. He is a challenge. He's different to other blind cats. I mean, I've had double figures now in blind cats, and Harry's unique. The original Harry was, he was a challenge as well. William's brother. So maybe it's the ginger ninjas that are the challenge. Oh, dark. I will not go out now. I mean, I used to let Harry out first thing of the morning to, if he needed to go to the toilet or something like that. But he was going off left, right, and centre, and it's pitch black up here. There is the odd street light, but other than that, I mean, I live next to a mosque, and it became a morning thing, like me running around like a lunatic looking for Harry, and all the guys going to the mosque. You all right there, Andrew? Yeah, fine. Is it Harry? Yep, it's Harry. And so now I won't let him out of the morning until after breakfast when it's light. In fact, I don't let him out at all. He's got his tray here, and so he uses his tray. Then after breakfast, and when we're ready to go out, then he goes out. And now his routine is, as soon as I open the front door, he's straight through the front door, turns left on the terrace, and he runs down to the gate. He knows he's going out, and he's happy. And of an evening, as soon as they've had their dinner, then we may go outside in the garden, probably not, and he's indoors for the night because he's got a little bit of white on him underneath, so I can see a little bit. But when you've got Kira and Momo, I mean, they're jet black. You've got no chance of catching them. And with the other cats, it's a glint of the eye, but when you've got no eyes, there's no glint there either. So darkness is off limits these days. Darkness, and the other bad time here is Sunday afternoon, because Sundays is always popular with the families. They go around to relatives, especially in the summertime, and a lot of them have barbecues. So there's always a lot of traffic around, and you get the quad bikers. They go up onto the mountain. Yeah, it's always busy traffic-wise. So I try not to let him out. Well, he's never on his own, put it that way. The other blind cats I could trust. William, Kira, Momo, and Dipper as well. They're good in the garden, but Harry, you cannot trust him. Instagram. I'm banned off Instagram. I got my security questions mixed up, and Instagram just said, you are not suitable for this channel. So I left it for 6 months. I tried again, and my records, my details are still on file as such. And I don't know how to get around it. I'm not good with computers, and I'm not good with technology. So I got onto YouTube, I got the channel, and I can use Facebook, but that's about as far as I can go. Plus the fact, it all takes time. I mean, tonight I can't sleep. I'm worried about what's coming, and it's affecting my sleep. So I'm talking to you guys, and that's fine. But come 4 o'clock, the animals will start waking up, and they'll start wanting food. So for 5 o'clock, I do their breakfasts. And usually I do their breakfast, I'll sit and do some emails. And then 7 o'clock time, I take them out. I come back and I've got clearing up to do, and the day starts. And usually I've Facebook, I know, Instagram. I have tried different avenues to get to Instagram. But Instagram are blocking me. So I have YouTube. It takes, I mean, also when I take the video, I can be out with them sometimes for 2 hours. And then when I'm shooting video, then I've got maybe 80 sections of video to go through, to edit, to upload to you. And it can take hours to sort out a video. And I still have to go to the shops most days. There's cooking to do, there's cleaning to do. You know, really, it all takes time. So if I start going on to Instagram, Snapchat, and these other things, these other platforms, sometimes there just isn't enough hours in the day. And even if there were hours in the day, I run out of steam. So if we're going to make it, we'll make it on YouTube. And if we're not, we're not. YouTube is easy to navigate. But that said, I listen to these other YouTubers that have made a success. And it keeps coming back to strategic planning. And it's getting more and more in depth and complicated to do. I spoke to YouTube the other day because my watch time, the views were getting less and less. And every so often, YouTube does an audit for bots, robots, and my subscribers get clobbered, and then you have to start again. My views were getting less, but the watch time never seemed to change. And even when I was getting, say, 200 hours a week, my watch time might only change by 100 hours. So I spoke to YouTube and they said, no, your channel's fine. They checked it out and they said, you know, you've got new viewers, returning viewers. They gave me all the information, and she was very helpful. That's when it came up about subscribers. Having to, one of them, the suggestions was asking for subscribers. So I don't know what the answer is. So for now, even with the troubles that I've got coming up, I'll keep making the videos. And I enjoy making the videos. It gives me something to do, something different to do, sort of take your mind off of it. And I love watching the animals play. I mean, when I see the blind cats running round, chasing each other, I mean, these are blind cats. And I know that this isn't really, this isn't what they do in general. So for what I'm watching, for me is very special. And I never get tired of watching it. I think you're right, Eunice. I don't think I didn't realise how much went into content creation until you're involved in it. Uh, you look at these videos. The ones that always impress me are these outdoor videos, where I mean, one of them is the outdoor gear review, and he's walking up the mountain, and you see him walking up, you see him walking past, and that isn't so easy to do. In fact, that must be very time consuming to set up the camera and then to go back and start, and then you walk up for the camera, and you've got to have the camera at the right angle so it doesn't chop your head off or other bits off. And that always impresses me, and especially these people that maybe are building a log cabin out of nothing, and how they've got the camera positioned. There must be so much time goes into making just one of those videos. I know how much time goes into making a cat video, and there's me filming the actual event. I don't have to stop and put the camera down. You see me put the camera down when I've been clambering up those rocks. But even that isn't so easy to do, because I'm struggling to get up, and I've got a camera over here, and when you've got the blind cats milling around, especially Harry and Dipper, and his back suddenly flicks round and your camera goes flying, it's, it's like a carry-on film. So when you say the editing is evident, is that a good thing, or could that be improved on? Yeah, Eunice, it's 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 harder than you think, and I mean, I've got untold video, or I've had untold videos where I thought, I mean, I've had the camera like this, maybe holding it on a tripod like this, and when I've gone back and watched the video, maybe heads are missing, or bodies are missing, or I've missed the shot completely because. But it's not always possible to have it up here. It's time consuming. There is room for improvement. The camera I bought, I'd never used an action camera before. I'd always used the phone. And they were advertised as filming in 4K with a decent amount of memory. When I got the camera, it doesn't film in 4K. And the memory of 64 gigs was actually only 32. It wouldn't accept the other. And because of where I live, it took so long to get here from Amazon because I had to use a logistics company. I was out of time for sending it back. So the next camera that I get will be a lot better, but it's got to be the right camera for the right job all of the time. It's good to know about the editing because I try and do it so it's seamless. Sometimes it works better than others, but as long as you're all happy with it. Yeah, I've heard this about uploading in 4K as well, can take hours. So you film in 1080. Some people on here aren't happy in me filming in 1080. And but then you can't please all of the people all of the time. So as long as most of you are happy with the video, the sound, that's the part that I miss, the audio. And this little camera just doesn't have audio. So I would love to do as I did previously. So you actually catch the animals when they're chatting away, especially Dipper and also Harry. When if he thinks that I'm not around, he'll start calling, and he has to hear my voice, and he's okay. Yeah, the audio, it's not could be sharper. There's no audio at all. It just will not pick up. And the noises it does pick up seems to be the internal workings of the camera, a lot of clicking and strange noises. So I've switched it off now, and that's why I just do a voiceover. But no, that part I miss. Oh, Fergus. Yeah. Fergus is a funny cat. My neighbour brought him over when he was a kitten, and because they couldn't take him in, and he jumped straight onto me, and he went up onto my shoulders, and that's where Fergus loves to be. And as he's gotten bigger, uh, he still goes up on my shoulders, but his favourite place now is to be up on the kitchen cabinet. So when I'm doing the breakfast, he leans forward and his paw, so he sits right on the edge of the cabinet, and his paws are hanging over, and his paws, the end of his paws, can connect with my head. And I know he's up there, but sometimes my mind wanders onto other things. And when you suddenly get one of his paws tap you on the top of the head, he's got some big feet, big paws, and it's like, Fergus, and he starts chatting. And I chat back. And it's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So you've got this banter going on between me and him, and his paws bashing me on the head. And even during the day, I mean, he's fanatical about his biscuits. He'll eat his breakfast and he'll eat his dinner, but he must have his biscuits during the day. And he sounds off if he doesn't get his biscuits. And then Dipper, he'll join in. And as I say, Harry, he sometimes has something to say, but that's usually when he thinks I'm not around. So yeah, it's comical with them. but I can't pick that up at the moment, and that's sad. He, I don't know what he was telling me on that wall. He was fed up with whatever I was saying, and he gives me a playful nip. Sometimes, if he goes too far with his biscuits, I mean, if I've just cleared up and I've wiped all the top down, and he comes walking in from outside, and he might just walk straight through everything I've done. It's like, Fergus, and he sits and looks at me, and he gets sad because he thinks he's in the wrong. He is in the wrong, but you can't stay mad with him for long. And then he puts his head down, and if I walk off, he can't leave it alone after that. Then he comes with me, and he's nudging me, and it's like, I'm sorry, Dad. Didn't mean to do that. I, I could be totally wrong, everyone. These are the impressions I get with him, and I didn't mean that, Dad, and I'm sorry. And are we good? Are we all good? And anyway, what about the biscuits? So it starts all over again. So in the end, I give up and give him his biscuits, and he plows into them. It's like it was his. He hasn't been fed all day. More like he hasn't been fed for an hour. But he's a good cat, and he's no trouble. Grey cat's in tonight. I guarantee there's a Holland as that person comes out, I won't see Grey Cat because he'll be getting fed over there, and it'll probably be the best of everything. Cats aren't loyal. Some cats aren't loyal. Fergus, he does mooch around to different places, but in general, he's with me. The blind cats are obviously all with me, and but you'll get cats like Harvey and Molly. They're in at the moment. Woody's in. But if they get fed, I mean, I've had it before with them. Sometimes they disappear for weeks at a time. It's because they're being fed elsewhere. And there might be less cats elsewhere. There might be no other cats elsewhere. But when that feeding stops, they're straight back up to me. That's why I like the blind cats. It's they're here all the time. Ugh. Yeah, Scott. I mean, uh, I'm still positive. The hammer hasn't come down yet totally. There's always a chance that there'll be good news. But I have to make provision just in case there isn't. As I say, if I didn't have these guys as responsibility, and if I had to go, I have to go. But then I could go to most countries and I can start afresh, rent somewhere, anywhere, an apartment, and see if I can start again. Do you know, again, it goes back to I wish my life wasn't like this. I wish I had a wife and a family, but it just doesn't seem to work out like that for me. So this is what I've got, and this is what I have to do. So we make provision for them, just in case. I mean, I've been in Cyprus now for 18 years, so I haven't caused any trouble. I haven't been in trouble with the law for any reason. And there was a lady who lives near here, an English lady. She's never done residency. There's always been an excuse as to why, and she's gotten away with it, but not this time. And she was given 5 days to leave, and she took a solicitor with her to immigration, and they've given her 4 months. So, I'm hoping that if the worst happens, my solicitor will be in my corner. And for 18 years of pretty much unblemished residency, that they'll give me extra months, just in case that I haven't got these guys all sorted out in time. And then we'll go from there. I mean, I haven't even got a bank account that's wrong. I have got a bank account in the UK, but it's one of these strange banks, an internet bank. It's not like a high street bank. But then my sister was saying that high street banks aren't really high street banks anymore. They're not physical banks. The world has moved on in such a way that all that I knew back in 2000 and, oh God, when was it? When was the last time I was in the UK properly? 2005, 18 years ago. The world has moved on at such a pace. I mean, we've got physical banks here that use physical money, and you can withdraw physical money and use physical money on the buses. We don't have trains here. There is no subway or trains, so we just got buses. And a lot of people use credit cards now, but credit cards are expensive, and you can't use credit cards for everything here. So, like buying gas, and you're not allowed to use credit cards. Bottles of gas, that is, not a refill of gas. Do you know what, Eunice? When you say checks are done electronically now, there is so much reliance on technology that reliance on people is being taken away. You have to wonder where it's all going to go. I mean, when we used to watch those when we were kids, and we used to watch the sci-fi movies and programs of what's I mean, even films like Terminator, when people were few and far between and machines ruled the battlefield, how we marveled at it. Now look at it, and Ukraine, it's a drone war. I mean, the future is here. It's almost like people are being made redundant. Yeah, you're right, phone apps. Everything now. Take your blood pressure, phone app. Everything is on an app. And, I was talking to a local, and he said one of our worries here is the children now at school. He said they can't add up. He said they can't do a basic math question without getting a calculator out. And he said because the teachers either haven't got the time or they can't be bothered to teach them. And you have to wonder, if they're too stupid, no, not too stupid, if the teachers can't be bothered, then they're never going to learn. And their reliance on apps and machines is going to be total. And this what is this where we're heading? Where we can't think for ourselves anymore, we can't do for ourselves anymore. And apart from the lucky few, and we are reliant on machines. I was thinking, I'm glad that I was born in 1963. I was watching a video on YouTube, there you go, of being a child in the 60s and 70s. We were actually allowed to be children. We could do child things. I mean, making a go-kart up of bits and pieces and then putting it down a slope and seeing how fast you can get, invariably you crashed and the thing fell apart and you got cuts and bruises. I mean, God forbid you did that now. Your parents could be in all sorts of trouble. And we played football in the street and we rode our bikes. But there was never any thought in our minds of predators that were going to snatch children. I'm sure they've always been around, but we never thought like that. And because back then we didn't have mobile phones and we didn't have the internet, and there was a phone in the house, but you had to dial the number. You had to put your finger in the round hole and move it around to where you wanted to go. Life was so much easier then. Born in the 60s, I thought it was a great time. We still had great music, we had great films, great actors and actresses, and we were free to be children. What did we have in the 60s? An e-bike. What's an e-bike? I was listening to, there was a selection of tunes from the TV programs in the 60s. That's what I mean, electric battery powered bicycles. I suppose it's the same with these scooters now you see the kids whizzing up and down with. What's the matter with our legs? Are we not allowed to use our legs anymore? Do we not want to use our legs anymore? Maybe that's the plan. They want us to turn into couch potatoes that don't think, that just get zoomed into the television and our phones. And they can control us through that. So, maybe that's why my channel isn't any good. People are starting to forget what fields are like and mountains and legs and arms and stuff like that. Who remembers the banana splits? Who else was there? The Hair Bear Bunch. The Pink Panther. Maybe that's it, Eunice. Is it the older viewers or the happier viewers? Yeah, you could be right, actually, because the younger viewers won't have a clue what I'm doing. You know, with all this, the mountains, and I never see anybody up here. You see the shepherd, and you'll see foreigners walking, but you never see children because they are always on phones. They have always got a device. So even when you have all this, and it's all free, it doesn't cost anything up here to go onto the mountain. And it's safe. I mean, people know everything that goes on here. They know what you're doing the whole time. And I suppose in a way you could say it's invasive, and I'll give you an example. My neighbour, before they moved, I'd park the car up. I put the drive, and I did everything that I needed, sort of on the Friday morning. So the cats had enough food, I had enough food. There was no need to go out, and I was just pottering around. So the car was parked up, and my neighbours went away Saturday morning, and they saw the car there. And on the Sunday evening, they came home, and the car was still there, and my house was in darkness, only because I'd done a barbecue Sunday afternoon, and I'd had a few beers, and I fell asleep. Or I went to bed. And they came home, saw the car was in the same place, and they'd been away for the weekend. And they sort of panicked. And she sent her son up, and he knocked on the door, and I was still boozed. And he said, sir, are you okay? Yeah, fine. Oh, he said, because my mother was worried because, your car hasn't moved. And at the time, I was a bit foggy. But the following Monday morning, when I stopped and thought about it, I thought, how nice is that? The fact that they've seen what was going on. Nothing was going on. And because they thought the car was still in the same place, the lights were off when they went away. The lights were off when they came home, just in case. And how many times have we read or seen on the news about a person that has died in an apartment or a house, and no one knew until the smell, or they hadn't been seen for 6 months? I don't get seen for 48 hours here, and there is talk in the village. And it's small things like that, if ever there's a problem, it can be difficult living in another country. But if ever there's a problem, someone will always help. Like, I got burgled a couple of years ago, and but it must have been seen or disturbed because the television I had a portable television, and it was out by the wall. I think, what's that doing there? Anyway, I spoke to the guy in the village shop whose son-in-law is a police officer who made a phone call. And within an hour, I had a police car around, checking to see if everything was okay. It's small things like that that you wouldn't get in possibly the UK now or the US. Those sort of things that go on. I think you're right. Morning, Cat Chick. How do I pronounce? Is your name Heike? Heike? We have had much happier times, and we won't have those times again. They won't come back. So I'm glad I've had those times. I don't know what times are coming, worrying times, but I'm glad I've had those times. I'm just glad I've had the life that I've had. Partly, maybe not all of it, but definitely the childhood. I mean, another time, a great time for me is Christmas. It's my favourite time of the year. And I remember as a child, Christmas Eve, we would always write out a wish list. And we had a fire at that time in the house we were in. And you had to write out what you wanted and then send a note up the chimney so that Santa, when he stopped, would know which you wanted, and he could get your toy out and drop it down chimney. And I remember also my bedroom looked out over the back garden. So on Christmas Eve, we would be looking, me and my sister would be looking out the back window to see if Santa was going to go past on his sleigh. You know, you tell the children that now, they'll probably look at you and laugh. But it was the innocence back then. And this was what we knew. And this is what we look forward to. And if it snowed at Christmas, it was the perfect Christmas. And the other thing I always remember at Christmas, or Christmas Day, opening your presents, if you got a present that required a battery, like one year I got a Scalextric, couldn't use it. I got it all set up, the chicanes, the bends there, everything, the cars were on the track ready, no batteries. And there were no shops then because Christmas Day was sacred. You couldn't get a shop open anywhere. And because the place closed down. But now it's just open all the time. I don't think about what you choose to build around you, it's what is around you. Do you know, a lot of people come away nothing is perfect. Nothing and nowhere is perfect. And I don't care if you come from nothing or if you've born into fabulous wealth. Nothing is perfect. There's always going to be something that's not quite right. So you make the best of what you've got. And for me, as I say, Christmas, looking out the window, waiting for Santa to go past on his sleigh and the reindeer. And the music. Always loved the music, the songs that came out at Christmas. Again, they were innocent times, and it wasn't a 24/7 environment. I mean, who remembers the sound card on the television at midnight? I played the national anthem at midnight, and the telly went off. And now it's 24/7. I don't know if I told you all this. Um, some years ago, I was in a bar, local bar, restaurant, and a family walked in, English family, and they went and sat at a table. And as they sat down, four devices came out. There were two pads and two phones. The kids had phones, and they started tapping, but not a word was spoken. I mean, this is like a beachside bar, looks out over the water, lovely view, nice ambience, but not a word was spoken. And I was fascinated by this because they tap, 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 tap. And they only stopped when the waiter brought up the menus and they said what they wanted. And as he took the menus and walked away, they went back to their devices and started tapping again. And still nothing had been spoken until the food came up. Then they had to put their devices down and they started eating. Now, I left after that, but I thought, you know, I would never have been able to do that. If I'd tried that when I was younger, I would have been told. I may have even been slapped, but that's what we were used to. But the parents were the children were wrong, but the parents were just as bad as the children because they were all sitting there tapping. And I've often wondered if they actually said anything before they left. Oh, it's weird, Kathy. They just sat there, tap, 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 tap. And, but not a word was spoken. I've been in a restaurant. I was in a restaurant one time. Eunice, that's even worse. Digital menus. I wouldn't go back to that place either. Um, no, I was in a restaurant. I was in an Indian one night, and a couple came in, and they sat down, and they must have had an argument, and they sat there, and they didn't say anything, and it was like mumbled, and you just want to go up to them and slap them and say, "For Christ's sake, talk, get it out in the open, just talk to each other." Digital menus. I bet the kids will love that. scary times. Wonder if he'll ever get to the point where we don't actually need phones, where we'll have something in our brain that if we want to make a phone call or a call, we can just tap into somebody else's thought. You do have to wonder where it's all going to. I mean, who do you talk to now online? I mean, I thought it was, I can't remember what else. I thought it was Kiefer Sutherland that was talking once, but it's not. It was it's our AI, and you're not talking to real people anymore. This is one of my arguments with YouTube. They do these audits, and to get rid of robots, which is all well and good. But you try getting hold of YouTube to talk. It's not that easy, and they want it all their way, but they're not willing to compromise and have more physical people for you to talk to when you have a complaint. It's all AI. Maybe that's who I was talking to the other day, Uni's a robot. I didn't actually talk to it. It was email, chat, whatever. Little black statue. Hold on a minute. I haven't got a statue. Oh, that's Momo's. No, not Woody. God, what? During the night, you can't move Woody with dynamite. That will be. It's Momo's that's up on the bar. Kira. I don't know where Kira's gone. Oh, Kira's in front of me. She's on the other side of the laptop. I've got Harry this side here. Kira is there. Momo's is there. Woody's over there. Dipper, William, Harvey, and Grey Cat. Tubbs and and Hair Bear. She's on the kitchen cabinet. Tubbs and Fergus went out. Why can't you call a pharmacy these days? Oh, so what are they going to do with all these people then that are out of work in the USA? Is it San Francisco that has got the all those down and out junkies that live in these cities, or almost got like little communities or cities of just junkies. I know it was one US city I saw on, I think it was YouTube. Now there was a city, and it's just full of junkies. It's in the US. I know I've seen it on YouTube, and California could have been. I know it was one city, um, but they were just like zombie people, junkies. Drugs is not a thing you really talk about over here. I mean, it does go on, and but in the old days, you really didn't mention it. Yeah, I mean, they were actually very scary to look at. Bent in half, totally out of it. I mean, Cyprus is North Cyprus is a relatively new country, and Cyprus, the island, has been around for thousands of years. But North Cyprus, because of the troubles here, only came about after 1974. And although I'm sure they've had drugs here, you didn't even talk about it when I came, because the police were so hot on it that, just for example, if you went to a bar, even if you joked about it, I mean, there were so many undercover police here. For every uniformed officer, there were two plain clothes, and the bars would make a phone call if a barman or a bartender heard about anyone talking about drugs, and within minutes you had the police down pulling you in for questions. That's what it was like to live here. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it was like they'd kept it. Just before I came over in 2006, there had been a double murder here. An English couple were murdered by a Turkish worker, and that never happened here. Violent crime never ever happened, and the place was in turmoil. two old people as well, had been murdered. And, if there were, now and again, there were burglaries of, say, holiday homes, a team of would be working it, but the police knew, because all the police lived in the villages. They would go to the coffee shop. Everybody knew who the police were. The police knew who everybody was in the village, and people talk. And even if you knew who the, say, criminals were. So, for example, there was a spate of burglaries and in the villages. And if you happen to know who the burglars were, you'd get pulled in as well. You were guilty by association, and you may have been tuned up a bit. Now, you can say it's wrong, you could say it's barbaric, cruel, you can say what you like, but this is the way it works, and everybody knew that. Everybody knew where we stood, and the police were on top of it. I mean, there were so many Brits over here at the time, and you know what the Brits are like. They love a beer, they love a drink, they love to go out and they socialise in the bars, and they never caused any trouble, they never fought, but they did drink. And now and again, one would get pulled over. But there wasn't so many people here either, so the roads were clear. I'm not saying that it's right and you drink and drive, but there was less chance of hitting anything. And there certainly wasn't anybody walking around at night. So if you were unlucky enough to get pulled by the police, they would actually, as the police were so decent back then, to save on paperwork, they'd give you a lift home. You get a talking to in the car, but they'd give you a lift home. I'm sure in some countries, time is always going to stand still in certain places. And I think the more remote the village, you're still going to get that old feel, because they don't want change. They like things the way they are. They do here. I mean, there is no longer a stream. It's more of a flood of foreigners coming in from Russia, Ukraine, Iran. They are coming in, and bit by bit they are losing their identity here, and the locals don't like it, and they're losing their way of life. The slow pace that they've always been used to, the police being in control, and everybody knowing everybody, they're losing that, which is sad for them. And they're slowly being brought into the 21st century. But really, they don't want that. Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a standing joke, not so much now, but you couldn't fart in the village without someone somewhere else knowing about it, because everybody knew what was going on. And but it worked. I don't know if it's been lost all around the world, but we're definitely losing it around the world. And I can't understand why these politicians are letting it happen in every country around the world. It's it seems to be every identity is gradually being eroded. Every country's identity. And this idea that we can all live together, different cultures, it doesn't work. I don't think it works. People don't get to know each other. People don't really trust each other. I mean, the last time I was in the UK was 2008. I wasn't there for long, and people didn't want to do eye contact. I mean, if you walked towards someone, it was almost like you were going to get robbed, or they were going to rob you. They wouldn't look at you, they looked at the floor. Uh, it's, I mean, in the village, even if I don't know anyone, I will say hello, and people say hello to me. We acknowledge each other. Yeah, I think you're right, Scott. The pace of life. The people are always the last to know, aren't they? There is always a game plan that those in power have worked out. No, there is no job security anymore, is there? Maybe the governments are hoping that Putin goes and attacks Poland or presses the button and we start all over again. I don't think I'll ever set roots anywhere. Bit like yourself, Scott. Uh, I would love to sit down and just, right, this is it. This is where I want to be. This is where I'm going to stay. But it never seems to happen like that for me. Come on, guys, this is depressing. Lift ourselves up. Oh, it's 4 o'clock nearly. The cats will all be waking up soon. It'll be breakfast time. I should be completely exhausted by tonight. If the wind stops, I'll have a barbecue. Me, myself, and I, and them. How big's the kiddie cave then? Who's that? What's that, Harry? Oh, that's Momo's, Harry. That's Momo's up there. Yes. Momos, what are you doing? So am I the only one getting up? Are you lot all going to bed soon? Is it the end of the day over there? Is Momo at the back? Yeah, that's Harry that you can see. He's awake now. He's just a Momo. Dipper is awake. Kira, no, Kira's still asleep. Kira, William, Harvey, and Grey Cat, they're still sound asleep. 9 p.m. So you'll all be going to bed soon. I've still got video to upload to edit from yesterday. Harry headed off to the rocks. I don't like him going over there at this time of year, but he went over and he did some climbing. So we got that to put up. And we'll see what today brings. Grey Cat is one of mine. Grey Cat was born in the garden. There were three of them. There was Grey Cat, Quizzy, and Bigfoot. And Quizzy and Bigfoot, they had deformed front paws. I mean, as cats go, I mean, Grey Cat is big, but Quizzy was big. The sister. Bigfoot was huge. And that term gentle giant, he was. He couldn't run properly because of his front paw, but he was a fantastic cat. He was another great friend with the blind cats. He had so much patience for them. And their father is, I call him Lucifer. He comes round for his food, and he's a really chunky cat. He's solid. He's got a big head on him. Think of Garfield, a black Garfield sort of head, and a pit bull body. But the mother, Grey Cat's mother, she disappeared one morning. It's a thing up here. I've had cats that they come in for breakfast. Do you remember the video of all the kittens that were born on my bed? The mother, she was a brilliant mum. She disappeared one morning with one of the kittens, never came back. I had another cat, Bonesy. He was a big tabby. It was a huge tabby. He went out one morning, never came back. Nice to see you, Eunice, and we'll catch up again another time. All right, everyone. I'm going to love you and leave you, and go and get a cup of tea and start their breakfast. So I will. Great talking to you all. Thanks for keeping me up during the night, keep me busy. Yeah, as I say, the as soon as the wind drops, it'll be a lot easier. Catch you later, Kathy. See you all later. See you all soon. Yeah, you too. Heike, is that your name? Do I pronounce it right? Heike. Brilliant. Thank you. Catch you soon.